Research really is a very critical and vital part of professional development and practice. It contributes to our body of knowledge, and it can be used by administrators, clinicians, politicians, all kinds of people in terms of making good decisions for community health, for laws and regulations that promote health, and for public health efforts. When you begin to think about communicating your findings, one of the first things you should do is think about who is your audience. You need to tailor your communication to fit the audience, whether that's other professionals in the field, it might be people who funded your research, it might be the general public, but it's very critical that you tailor your communication for your audience. You may have noticed that when you see articles published in a journal, that they may be submitted as much to a year ahead of time. Being published is a very lengthy, tedious process. It's very exact. So you have to be very patient, you have to be very detail-oriented, and you have to follow the regulations of each publication or journal, which may be different from one to the other. Maybe inconsistent what one requires in terms of length or words or documentation. So it's important to be patient and to really research what is required. You can also do presentations at professional conferences, professional development, as well as books. Again, it is critical to know who your audience is. If you are reporting to your stakeholders, this may include people who have funded your research. It may include key community members who might be affected by the study results. It might be the mayor of the city. It may be the administrator of the hospital. It might be some type of advocacy group. So you really have to think about who is your audience. And then there are also many types of technical reports. But one of the most important things you can include is the executive summary, which gives a 2-page summary of the whole project. People who are in politics, who are CEOs, often don't want all the nitty-gritty details of your study. They want a 2-page summary. There are several ways you can share your results with the public. One is through the newspapers. In fact, I've noticed lately in my home newspaper, almost every day there's some type of article published about research related to health, since health is such a big topic. Magazines, trade newsletters, TV, radio, seminars, there are all kinds of ways that you can get the information out. Again, in terms of publishing your research, there's very specific criteria depending on the publication, and you must adhere to it exactly in order to move forward through the process. So there may be rejections, revisions, and resubmissions, and persistence is the key here. There's some variation, but in general, this is the format you'll see for a publication, and we'll go through each of these. You may see this somewhere else, so let me just emphasize to you that the title of the article should reflect the study contents, should clearly delineate the area of research the investigator wants to be associated with, and you should check with the publisher for the word limit, because there may be certain word limits associated with different publications. The abstract represents a summary of the entire body of work. There's usually a word limit. The APA, I believe, specifies between 125 to 250 words, and it really includes a description of the purpose, the theoretical framework, the study design, the key measures, and the conclusions. And the abstract is really important because it's really the first thing that someone will look at when they read your work. They'll look at the abstract to see if it's of interest to them, if it's well written, what kind of study it is. So it's very important that you present a well-versed, established abstract. The introduction should include a statement of the problem, the purpose of the study, the context of the study, the theoretical significance, and the practical significance. The literature review is also a very important component of the publication. It discusses the current and the historical frame of reference for the study. It discusses the theoretical and methodological approaches that have been used in the past to review similar work, provides a framework for your study, a justification, and it also presents hypotheses or research questions that have been presented and answered in the field. It may also point to gaps in the literature, provide a rationale for why you're conducting the study that you're doing based on the literature. The methods section should clearly delineate step by step the procedures that you use so that I could read your methods section and recreate the study by following those steps. The results section just states the results. It's what you found, includes maybe some descriptive statistics, tables, graphs, and charts, and just lays out the information. Again, publishers may have certain limits on the formatting for tables and charts. Generally, you have to stick to the APA guidelines. Whereas the results just presents the results, the discussion is your time to shine. It's your time to put out what this means to you. What do you make of the results? Why do you think you found what you did? What are the implications for practice? What are the implications for further research? How do you explain what you found? What would you do differently? What are the limitations? What are the strengths? What would be the key next steps for the researcher? This is really your section where you kind of make sense of it all. And the next step is really putting evidence into practice. What do you do with the results of your study? How do you put it into practice? And as an aside, let me encourage everyone to be sure that they review the module on evidence-based practice in week 7. That's important information for you to have as you complete this final week of the course. When we look at how to use the research results and the conclusions, you have to consider the relevance of the study findings, the type of study that was conducted. Was it rigorous? Did it have good internal and external validity? What the priorities are of your community, how that matches with what you've done, the timeliness, communication needs, the value placed on the research, the support you have from leadership to make changes, and then of course you have to address any potential barriers to implementation or changes. So to sum it all up, the skills that you will acquire as you conduct research are skills that are transferable into many different areas and many different fields and will serve you very well as you progress through the field of health and health services. I hope you have enjoyed the 7 weeks together on research methodology in health services. I think this is a great area of practice. I hope some of you have had an interest sparked by the content of the course, and I hope many of you will be conducting research in the field, and one day I will be reading your publications. Best of luck to all of you. Don't hesitate to contact me with any questions, and I'll see you in the course room.